Ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia grew into giants by feeding off a constant flow of resources. That flow, however, was controlled by a single narrow strip of land that connected them. Looking at this map of the Black Sea and Levant, you can see the precise boundaries of this region. Ancient Canaan occupied this tight coastal corridor, bordered by the Mediterranean Sea to the west and the Jordan River and harsh eastern deserts to the east. This placement created a severe geographic bottleneck. Because travelers had to avoid the open sea and the desert, they were physically forced to funnel through this exact strip of land. This geographic bottleneck functioned as a mandatory checkpoint. Foreign wealth and diverse populations stalled in this corridor, accumulating over generations. Because of this constant influx of resources and human capital, the region urbanized rapidly. Long before the surrounding empires reached their military peaks, Canaan's geography forced it to operate as an early hub for commerce and settlement. The constant traffic through Canaan coincided with unique environmental conditions, particularly in the Jordan River Valley. Access to consistent fresh water and fertile plains gave late Paleolithic and early Neolithic hunter-gatherers a concrete reason to stop wandering and build permanent camps. Jericho stands as an outlier in early history, a city that was settled early and never truly abandoned. It remained continuously inhabited for 11 millennia. To confirm that immense timeline, we have to look underground. Archaeologists excavating Jericho have dug through dozens of structural layers, uncovering evidence of organized civic life that dates back 11,000 years. The ruins here reveal massive engineering achievements for the Neolithic period. The inhabitants constructed thick defensive walls and tall circular stone towers, requiring highly organized labor and complex architectural planning. Building structures of this scale meant the people inside had something valuable to protect. The walls of Jericho were designed specifically to defend the town's agricultural surplus and accumulated trade goods from raiding groups. By enclosing themselves in stone, the people of Jericho had effectively declared their intention to stay. They were no longer reacting to nature. They were engineering a permanent, defensible space to store the resources they had claimed. By the 3rd millennium BC, the Semitic Canaanite people emerged in the region. They took the foundation laid by early cities like Jericho and fully capitalized on the transit routes crossing their territory. The Canaanites established a vast network of independent city-states. Settlements like Megiddo were built directly on high ground overlooking the fertile plains, placing them in perfect positions to monitor and control the flow of trade. Controlling these vantage points triggered an economic boom. These city-states positioned themselves as the primary intermediaries, taxing and facilitating trade shipments moving between the Egyptian pharaohs and the kings of Mesopotamia. Serving as a global hub meant the Canaanites were in constant contact with foreign merchants. They regularly absorbed and hybridized the customs, architectural styles, and polytheistic religious practices of their larger neighbors. The Canaanites thrived because they adapted. They grew rich and powerful by acting as the indispensable middlemen connecting the entire Bronze Age world. As trade routes became more established, the exchange of ideas began to carry more weight than the bronze and spices moving along the same roads. Passing through Canaan meant interacting with new communication systems and religious beliefs. Doing business at an international crossroads created severe friction. A merchant in Canaan had to negotiate transactions using dozens of complex, symbol-heavy writing systems, like Egyptian hieroglyphics or Mesopotamian cuneiform, which took years to master. A group of skilled Canaanite coastal traders, known as the Phoenicians, solved this problem. They stripped away the complex symbols and replaced them with a drastically simplified system, where each character represented a single phonetic sound. The Phoenicians utilized this highly efficient alphabet to dominate record-keeping and commerce. As they sailed the Mediterranean and traveled inland, they exported this phonetic writing system across their trade networks, until it formed the base for modern alphabets. The history of Canaan suggests that control over a global crossroads can be more influential than the size of an imperial army. By occupying this bottleneck, a small network of city-states dictated the communication of the ancient world.